Spurs up, Carolina fans. Once again, this is Phil Harris here at the Ruckin Roosters Show. I am joined by head coach, the main man, John Roberts. John, how the heck are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you making time out of your evening to chat with this old man and to learn a little bit about Carolina Rugby and what we're doing.
Yeah, man, super excited. Let's get right into it. Where are you from?
I grew up in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So back in the day, the locals called Sparkle City.
Yes. I think it's still called that to this day.
It is.
What is your origin story with rugby? How did you find rugby?
Well, I have a really interesting sort of origin story with rugby, and I appreciate you asking me that. I mean, I grew up in Spartanburg, so I went to Spartanburg High School. Now the locals call it Spartan High, and Spartan High was a big 4A school, one of the big, now it's 5A, but it's one of the biggest schools in South Carolina. I played football, I wrestled. I was captain of my wrestling team. I was on the football team. I started for a couple of years. We were good. We had a lot of guys, from the football team that went on and played for Clemson and Carolina and Florida State. Our quarterback actually went on and played for Florida State. He started for him a couple of years, Chip Ferguson. Anyway, he had a great football team, but I was kind of like the little guy on the team. I was like the fired up guy on the team that was not overly big, not overly strong, but was just the one who graded out highest and one that kind of got everybody excited. But sometimes grading out the highest and getting everybody excited doesn't always translate into a football scholarship.
Right.
So it did not. I went to Wofford for a year and then transferred down to Carolina. And while I thought I would have loved to play, for the Gamecocks, in reality, that was not going to happen. I was just too small. And so I missed this. I missed that team competition. I missed that togetherness of being on a team. I missed that organization. And I went down to Carolina, not knowing too many people. And I was playing touch rugby out on the horseshoe one day. And this fella came up to me. And he was, I could tell by the way he talked that he was not from South Carolina.
Right.
And he walked up to me and he saw me running around out there, and I was kind of thick and was moving pretty quick. And he walked up to me and he says, "Hey, Mon, you ever tried rugby?" And so I looked at this guy and I said, I never tried it. I've heard of it. And he says, "Hey, Mon, you're going to come out to practice with me tonight. Where do you live?" And I pointed up at Desasur, which is like right on the horseshoe.
Yep.
And I told him where I live. And he showed up and he got me and he walked me down to a rugby practice.
Nice.
And the guy's name is Warren Motley. Unfortunately, he just passed away recently, but he was from Barbados and he was a judge there and just became a really good friend of mine. So he introduced me to this game of rugby. Wow. And it just sort of sparked this, this lifelong love affair with the game, not only just with the game, but also with sharing it, because it's just fantastic, because you played it. Yeah. Greatest game in the world.
Yeah, it is. And it's so interesting that there's these moments in our life, right, that change everything. Like, what if he had forgot to talk to you and didn't show up to, escort you to practice? I mean, where would you be now? Exactly. It's just, those moments are so crucial, and they seem like nothing at the time, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, I think that as we get older, and I'm older than you, but you look back on life, when you have children, when you meet your wife, and these little pivotal moments, in your career and your personal life that sort of shape the rest of your pathway.
Right.
And that's what happens when you kind of get older and you become a little reflective about it. But you're right. Yeah. Right. If he'd never come up and said anything to me, it would have been completely different.
Yeah, totally. So I know you were describing yourself as small, but kind of feisty. So I have an idea in the back of my mind. I don't think I know this. What position did you play? But I have an idea about what it was.
It's probably not what you thought. I was the offensive guard. All right. So I was the guy, we had these stud running backs and a great quarterback. But when we decided we were going to run the ball, I was the guard that pulled out and did all the trap plays.
No kidding.
And I was the guy who pulled out and used to relish the opportunity of pulling out like on a sweep and just clocking the defensive end. It's that great moment when the defensive end comes up and he sees the running back and he thinks he's going to get, and then suddenly little Johnny Roberts comes around the corner and just knocks him down. It was fun though. I love my experience playing for the Vikes, and cool. Still keep in touch with a lot of my old teammates.
I'm sure. Yeah. What was your major at Carolina?
I was a journalism major. Yeah. So I was one of these guys that just was horrible at math and science and not good at any of that stuff. But I could write. I figured, I love to read. I was editor of my high school newspaper, and the Norse News at Spartanburg High School, and just used to write satire and news and sports, and that was just kind of my thing. It was my groove. It was the one thing I did pretty well. Mm-hmm. And you used to love reading newspapers back when newspapers were something, back in the day, everything that was important, that came through the newspapers. Newspapers were pretty powerful because that was the mechanism, that was the funnel, that was the speaker, which everything sort of spoke through was newspapers. Very, very powerful. And I wanted to be a newspaper reporter and work in newspapers, be a newspaper editor. So I came to Carolina because Carolina has a great journalism school, news ed. And I worked there and wrote for the Gamecock.
Nice.
It's now, of course, like most newspapers, it's not a printed version, so you can't wrap fish in it or anything, but you can check it out, every 2 or 3 days online. Did that and loved it, and got a great education from Carolina.
Perfect. And you transitioned that into academics yourself, communications. Is that right?
Yeah. I worked in newspapers for a couple of years. I worked as a newspaper reporter at the Augusta Chronicle down in Georgia, lived in Aiken, South Carolina. And it was great. While I was there, I played for the Augusta Mad Dogs. Okay. They were an old team. It's funny about the Mad Dogs. They started as a team that was comprised of folks that went to the medical school down there at Augusta. So they were all prospective doctors, hence the name of the team when it originated, the MDs, doctors, the MD Mad Dogs.
Ah, okay.
So it was the Mad Dogs.
Very
so
nice.
I played for them for a couple of years, and then I moved up to Greenville, South Carolina, where I met my late wife and was courting her, and moved up there and worked for the Greenville News for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then an opportunity came open at Furman University, right down the road. The pay was better. The hours were better. Newspaper people at the time worked crazy hours, and I was just beginning to have a family. My son was born, and we had more children, and we knew we wanted to have more kids. So newspaper was much better to go to work at Furman, where the pay was better and the hours were much more stable.
So at Furman, you become the head coach. Were you a part of the founding of the rugby program there?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting story. When I played for Greenville up until like 1997 or 98, my body was giving out on me. And I decided that I needed to step away from the sport. But there was this guy, toward my twilight time at Greenville that was playing for the Griffins. And his name was Mark Roberts. No relation, M-A-R-C Roberts. And he was a sophomore. And he went to Furman University, and he was from Argentina. And so he went to Furman. He had nowhere to play, but he loved the game.
Right.
So he latched on with the Griffins. The Griffins, of course, welcomed him, and like all rugby clubs do.
Yes.
It's this great community we have.
Yeah.
So they welcomed Mark, and I got to know Mark a little bit, and then I retired, and he joined Furman. And I wasn't at Furman very long, and he showed up in my office. And he says, "Hey, John, what do you think about starting a rugby club here at Furman?" So I thought about it. And I said, "Man, USC has a team. Clemson has a team. Citadel has a team. Yeah. Maybe we could do it." Furman was much smaller. We only had 2,500 students.
Right.
So the first thing I did was I went back and I asked my wife permission. I said, "Hey, can I start this club? I think I got a couple of people that are interested. This guy, Mark Roberts, he wants to get some guys to come out and play rugby. he says he can get his entire fraternity out there to play, and I just coach it.
Nice.
So she said, yeah, that's fine. I mean, coach rugby, that's fine. Just as long as you're home for supper at like 6:30 and you can change diapers and, it doesn't take up too many of your weekends, you have fun with your passion. So as soon as I got the thumbs up from her, I went back to Mark, and then we had a couple practices, and then he brought out his entire Sigma Chi,
Nice,
fraternity there. And there were just one kid who knew how to play rugby. Of course, this was 1998, so it's a long time ago. But yeah, so that's how it all started.
Can you just list off your accomplishments at Furman real quick, so we all have an understanding of just how amazing you are as head coach?
Well, amazing, I think, is a little bit of an overstatement, but I'm generally a pretty humble person. But since I took the job at USC, I've been used to talking about myself because people like to hear about it, and it's important that I sell me as I sell the program. So, so we started out in 1998. We had a lot of kids. It was back at the time when rugby was still kind of in its nascent stages in high school, so it wasn't hatching much there. So, but colleges had teams, and most of the coaches that were coaching the college programs, they only had like 20, 25 kids that would come out, and all of them were new. I was really good at coaching the basics. I was really good at teaching folks how to tackle. I was really good at teaching them how to ruck and how to pass. I was good at just, exciting the kids. I was kind of close to their age. Mm-hmm. And so we had some success. It was maybe 2000, I should know this, but I think it was maybe 2001. By 2001 or 2002, we won a Division III national championship, which is basically a division set up for small colleges.
Yes.
So we won that, and then Division III became the National Association of Small Colleges organization, the NASCRO now.
Yes.
And so it changed organization. Furman was part of that, and then we won 2 more. So we won 3, and then we were in the finals for 3 years, and we lost in very competitive finals. So, and then we moved up to Division II, to play bigger teams. So we weren't just playing small schools; we were playing larger teams like Coastal Carolina, Appalachian State. Those sort of mid-sized colleges. Yep. And it took us about a 2 or 3 year growing period, but we got to that point that we were competing at the highest level at Division II. And so when I stepped away, the year before I stepped away at Furman, we were Division II finalists. So nice. I guess the best victory of my coaching career was in 2016. Minnesota Duluth had not lost a game in 4 years, and they had won a Division II national championship for 3 consecutive years. And they came down, and just by a twist of fate, we were hosting the Nationals that year over at the field, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
And we played them on a Saturday. It was just sort of sun-dappled day. It was sparkling, it was dry field. We had fast backs and shocked them, and we beat them, handed them the first loss. And we just had a great team, but we just had a lot of fast guys. And when the next day we had to play, it rained, and we had to play Whitewater, Wisconsin Whitewater, and we lost. But it was a competitive game too. So just love that. And then when I was at Furman, and we did a lot of cool things with the team and had a lot of success, and the parents were really appreciative of what we had done, with their children, and had a lot of friends and stuff. So we raised money to construct a rugby stadium there. It's called Roberts Field, and it's I'm proud of it. It has my name. I'm probably the only guy that has a stadium named after him that didn't have to give him much money for it. So it was good. So they did that, and the trustees dedicated it to me in 2008. And I'm not only just proud of the facility and the name on it, but the kids are. But we use that field to attract a lot of national events to Furman. There has been so many national tournaments. There's so many high school games. And as you know, it's just not all about your ego or about Furman rugby or about the teams you coach. It's about giving back to the games.
For sure.
And for probably about maybe 10 years when I was there, I mean, we'd have all these things that people would win these championships, and they'd go up at the scoreboard and they'd have their picture taken, at Roberts Field. I mean, people from Texas and Oklahoma and Notre Dame and the service academies. And that's what made me, men and women,
Yeah,
young and older, men's clubs too. That's what really I'm most proud of, is just that legacy of all those photos that are floating out there,
for sure.
On the internet. So
It's all very impressive. I know that you're a humble guy, but just to recap for the folks that were, not paying attention, maybe 3 national championships, 3-time runner-up, and you got a field named after you. They're near Greenville, South Carolina. So it's all really impressive. We're so happy to have you back at Carolina, your alma mater. Tell us about the With You campaign that was recently started by Carolina Rugby, and how can people help with this?
yeah, the With You campaign is something that we just launched. And just to kind of give you a little bit of history, when there was an opportunity became available for me to come to USC, I told some folks that were asking me, some alumni and some friends, and said, look, I love to come there, but I can't do it for free. I'm not at that point in my life where I could take zero pay. And so there was a group of guys. It was parents and friends, but it was 80% of it was like my group of guys that I played rugby with, people that knew me at Carolina, knew me as a coach, and they raised the money to get me there, and but it was just enough to get me through this 1 year. So what the With You campaign is designed to do is to take these gains that we've made to get me there, and we raised close to $80,000 to get me there as a coach.
Right.
But to ensure that I'm at Carolina for next year and the next year and the next year. And it's not just about me. We want to give money for scholarships.
Right.
Jeff Smoka, a teammate of mine, has an endowed scholarship. Y'all should go to the webpage and look at it. But, he's, through his help, he's provided a lot of financial assistance to college students to come to Carolina. We want to enhance that. And then also we want to do stuff for our alumni, because you can't just say, hey, give me all the time. You have to give them something.
Yes.
And so what we're doing and what we pledged to do with the foundation, because I'm working with the foundation on this, is to make sure that we have first-class events for our alumni, so that when they come back, it's not like the old days where you just kind of go to a pub and you have some pizza and they crack open a keg of beer and say, y'all have fun. We're doing something different. We're creating programs. We're creating experiences with them. So those are the 3 funding priorities with the With You campaign. We called it With You because we're doing something new at Carolina Rugby. This is, we've had small little one-off campaigns at Carolina in the past. We've asked people to give, but this is a comprehensive campaign. We're not asking people to give us, $300-400 because the team's going to Philly to play. We're saying we want you to support us long-term.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to provide us with a monthly gift,
Yes.
Whether it be $100 a month, $50 a month, $25 a month, $250, $500, whatever, we'll take it. But we want everyone to plug in and make a financial contribution every month. And that's important, mm-hmm. because you're on our foundation, you've been part of this stuff, is that continuing flow of income, that steady stream, is something that we can count on. It's something that we can count on for my salary. It's something that we can count on to provide experiences for the team. It's something we can count on for scholarships. And it's just the main model that a lot of other rugby foundations have set. So we are just doing something new and exciting. And we called it With You because anybody who's played rugby, knows what With You means. It means you get a guy running down the field and someone supporting him. You don't see the guy around him, you don't see him, but he says, with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. That means, okay, whether this guy clobbers you, I'm going to ruck over you, right, and protect you. Or if you want to pass the ball to me and keep it going forward, left or right, I'm with you. So With You means trust. Yeah. With You means sportsmanship. With You means a commitment to a common purpose, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we called this campaign With You, because it captures all those great qualities, about rugby and about Carolina Rugby that we hold dear.
Yes, for sure. It's all about advancing the program forward under your leadership as coach. But, obviously we've got the scholarships that you mentioned there, and increasing the alumni relations and events. And my first alumni event was last year. And it was amazing. I was like, this is awesome. But apparently it hasn't been that great in previous years. So we have to make sure that we continue to maintain that and even elevate those events and get more alumni involved for the future of the program as well. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And something, as a coach now, as a full-time coach, I've been having one-on-ones with the guys, in coming into my little office in the Black Peace Center. And there's so many things that can come out of those little conversations that our players have with an alumni.
Yeah.
I was talking to a player today, and he was talking about to me about an internship. And he says, "Hey, coach, I don't think you know this, but I got this internship because I was talking to Declan Reed at the alumni weekend."
Right.
And it was Gavin, who's been on, and he got an internship because he talked to someone,
right,
at the event. It's because we made those groups. It was kind of forced family fun, right? But we made them bowl together and talk together. We kind of and they loved it. And the kids are just so happy about that. They talk about it. And then we have another one get an internship through that through a conversation you have with alumni. And we're having one now. We don't have an old team, but who's it's generate some job interviews. So there's so many positive things that can percolate up from those relationships, and just trying to bring in the young people in with the old guys.
Yeah, it's all networking. It's got, it's Carolina rugby players helping Carolina rugby players, whether it be current or former. It's just Gamecocks helping Gamecocks, which is a beautiful thing. Let's jump over real quick here to your short-term and your long-term goals as coach of Carolina. We've been talking about the With You campaign, which is all about donations and helping out for the program. What is the short-term and long-term goals of this program moving forward?
Yeah, well, we're right into the middle of the short term. Prior to coming in this position, I worked 25 years in higher education marketing and communication. So in fundraising communication. So I bring more to the table to Carolina than just being, a rugby coach. I bring a professional outlook to the communications and to the fundraising. So one of the things that I've been working with the foundation on is helping them. And the foundation is great, composed of a lot of great volunteers that are doing great work. But I wanted to come to Carolina, not just to coach young men and work with young men, but to provide sort of a little bit more of a professional framework to the foundation to solidify and improve the communications, because I saw that was something that was lacking. If you're going to ask people to give, the first thing that you need to do is be able to communicate with them on a regular basis in a very authentic way. And then the second thing you need to do is, if you're going to ask them to help you, you need to show them that you're willing to work yourself for it.
Yes.
So we've been trying to do that, for the last, 8 or 9 months or so. So that, and, the next step for the foundation, I think, is once we get through this campaign, is develop a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. What we're going to do, what our goals are, what our fundraising goals are, what our committees are going to look like, what our foundation is going to look like in 3 or 4 years. To begin to not just us do this by ourselves, just the guys on the foundation, but to get input from our alumni and friends and parents and say, what do you want to see in the foundation? Maybe we involve parents in, maybe we bring in other folks. We need to begin to walk down this path to think about, where do we want to see the Carolina Rugby Foundation and the Carolina Rugby team look like in about 3 or 4 years? So those are sort of the short term. The low lying fruit has been the communications, because that's what I did, for 25 years, and kind of getting the team excited. So that's what we've done initially, and hosting better events and those things. So that's been the low lying fruit. And in the long term, we need to build Carolina Rugby into a national power. We can do it, but it's like this. I always tell the kids this, and everybody, it's like building a program or building a championship team or a championship program is you have to work with the foundation, right? You have to build that rock solid foundation, and that rock solid foundation is trust and a good culture and doing things the right way, right? And you build it up with communication, and you have to have support, from your alumni, because if you do something, you might have a great team of seniors or a great team of something, and you might just win the conference championship one year, or maybe make it to the national finals or something. But unless it's baked into your culture, it could go away, So that's what we're doing, is just building a house, so that we can, once we build it, we'll have the strong foundation, we'll have the support beams, and we'll have the people around it to make sure that it lasts for a long time.
It's super exciting, John. I'm really glad that you're here with us at Carolina, and I'm just really excited to see what happens over the next couple of years with our rugby program at Carolina. I'm hoping for competition down the road where we can say that we're contenders for national championships at our level. That would be really exciting and just be super cool.
Yeah, I mean, we can get there.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubt. I mean, we're elevating our recruiting now. I mean, we went up to New Jersey and Connecticut and recruited some students, and this is sort of a something that's new, but I haven't mentioned this to you, or I kind of put it out. But we're going to have a summer camp this year.
Nice.
We're going to invite those students down to come to our summer camp. It's going to be in July, but this is not a one-person endeavor.
Right.
It's not. And to make it work, I mean, we need support from everybody. We need support from our parents. We need support, from our alumni to make this work. And everybody wants to see it, man. Everybody wants to see the Gamecocks win. They want to see the Gamecocks on national TV. They want to see us build a program that's, one of the elite, the nation.
Yes.
We can do it, but it's like we need everybody sort of pushing together and to get everybody excited about it. And I think we're beginning to walk down that path, because the longer I'm doing this, the more I'm hearing from different quarters, whether they be recent grads or old guys, even older than me, that say, I'm excited I'm hearing some great things, so I think people are beginning to re-engage, and it's just great. This is a dream job for me, do something at my alma mater. And I firmly believe that we'll look back on this moment, in about 4 or 5 years and say, hey, this is where it started, baby.
Heck yeah, man. It's all awesome. When you said, this is your dream job, I got this huge smile on my face, because, when people are passionate about what they're doing at a place like Carolina, I mean, it's just going to reverberate throughout the entire program and the entire campus. So let's move over to some other things real quick here before we get you out of here. The real big question here, if some recruits are watching, what is so special about the University of South Carolina?
I think that's something that's unique about Carolina is, other than its history, and we have a great history, we've been around for more than 50 years. We're the oldest sports club at Carolina. I've been talking to existing students, and they're like, tell me about your sport. Tell me about your club. And I said, we're older than the soccer team at Carolina. Right. We're older than volleyball. We've been around longer than I have. They go, really? Wow, that's pretty cool. And we have traditionally have been among the very best rugby teams, in the state. So that's one of the messages is history.
Yeah.
2 is, we at Carolina, we're a club team, but and that's great. We love club, but we look more like a varsity team than we do a club team, because we do things that club teams don't.
Right.
1, we have a paid coach. All right. That's me. And a paid coach that does more than just sort of go out in the field, develop game plans, and blow the whistle at you. Right.
Yep.
I'm there for our student athletes on and off the field. I'm there to help them if they have a problem with their schoolwork, or if they have a problem with anything, they come in and talk to me. So that's one thing that we have that some of the other big programs that's funded through the school. And that's very important, because as a school employee, I get access to student workers. I know the people. If something needs to be done, I can figure out a way to kind of get students the help they need. So that's something that they're not going to find at Clemson. They're not going to find at any SEC school. Someone who's employed by the school, who's part of the administration that can help them. And something else I'm selling is just the culture. If you want to come enjoy the game, right? Have a good time, love your teammates, be excited, be joyful, and play the game. This is your place. If you want someone, who's going to be barking and screaming and yelling down your throat all the time and pointing his finger and just doing, I'll work you hard, but we have fun. We take care of our sport, and that's who we are. So and the kids love it. I mean, if you look at all our roster photos online, they're all with their hands all over each other. They're arm in arm. They're smiling because they love it. You know, they love being with that. You know, all of our guys, we don't have a roster photo with they're all standing like this, looking forward. You know, like they're going to go out and beat Cal Berkeley or something. I mean, they just love it, and they're arm in arm. So that's what we're doing here. You know, and we do it the right way, and that's part of our culture. So I'm saying, hey, that's kind of what we sell. We sell the warm weather too. And there's some things that you and I have talked about a little bit offline, but from a facility standpoint, there's going to be some stuff that's going to be happening within the next 2 or 3 years. That's going to make it it's going to be cool beans for some of these folks, these freshmen, because I tell some of these guys, and I get excited when I talk, but I was telling some of our freshmen as they're coming through and during our one-on-one, I said, you're lucky because by your senior year, we're growing some fruit right now. By your senior year, you're going to be able to take a big bite out of that juicy apple, Then maybe the juniors won't be able to, but they'll be able to see it as alumni.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not like if you graduate, you're just gone forever. You can come back every single year, and be a support and see these guys come up as underclassmen that, now that you've graduated, you get to see them progress.
Right.
Yeah. So it's super exciting. We're not going to break any news on this particular episode, but what you've told me behind the scenes is super exciting for Carolina Rugby, and can't wait for that stuff to get off the ground. And as you're saying, something is being built here at Carolina that when it's all, done, we can look back and just absolutely marvel at this thing, because all of the dreams and all of the hopes of people from, previous generations we'll all be able to look at this and say, man, this is exactly what we wanted. And there it is. So,
hey, all I need is about 800 or 900 more people, alumni, just like you talking like that, man. We'll get it off the ground. But we're going to get there though.
Yes, sir. We sure will. Before we get you out of here, we've got what's called one word association. So I'm going to say 1 or 2 words here. And the first word that pops in your mind, I want you to throw it back out, man. Okay.
Oh, I've watched your podcast. I've seen these things. Go ahead. Let's go. Let's play.
All right. Tradition.
I'm going to say Furman rugby.
Okay.
Great tradition there.
The next one is rugby.
Companionship.
The horseshoe.
My home at Carolina, or my home.
Yes. Carolina.
Welcoming.
Gamecocks is the last one.
Fighting.
Yeah, we're fighting Gamecocks here, baby. That's right. We ain't no chickens. We're fighting chickens.
That's right, baby.
That's right. All right, Coach, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And we're really looking forward to seeing what you can do with these youngsters on the pitch in the coming seasons.
And thank you for all you're doing for us. And you've done a great job with everything. And I just treasure our friendship and thank you for all your great work and being an advocate for our program.
We've got 2 words to get you out of here. I think you know what it is. You always say it at the end of your videos too. So in 3, 2, 1, Spurs up,
baby! Woo!